If you ask me, the hardest part about making a 100 days video is figuring out what you're gonna do. I've seen people take on ancient mobs, just become as rich as possible, build gigantic structures, but I'm gonna go a different route. I'm gonna do what Minecraft tells me to. There are 102 advancements in Minecraft 1.19. Everything from getting a stone pickaxe to applying every single effect to your player at the same time. Yes! And I'm gonna get all of them in a brand new world in 100 days. And shout out to the OG Switchback Mongo. Make sure to check out his video once you're done watching mine. And by the way, there's a link to my Discord in the pinned comments. Go join that so you can be in my next big video. But all right, let's get this started. And as I loaded into the world, ready for a new adventure, here we go. I started up the world by punching down a tree, one of the most iconic things in Minecraft. From there, I made some basic tools, saw a little bit of exposed stone, and using a wooden pick to get Stone Age, my very first advancement in this world. From there, I crafted up a boat and some stone tools for getting an upgrade, heading out onto the ocean, seeing what I could find around me. There's a large nether portal which had some pretty decent gold tools, but I'm not gonna try to get that gold block yet. Instead, I'm focusing on getting some flint and killing a whole bunch of animals. I'm honestly a bit of a menace to the wildlife in this world, I'm warning you now. Now I'm eating the raw food not because I'm an idiot, but because I'm gonna need that for a balanced diet and just knocking that out right away. But don't worry, I'm not gonna test my stomach for the entire 100 days. I cooked up some food so I actually had something to survive with. From there, I continued sailing along the coast, finding the very first village in a pretty perfect spot actually. Broke and replanted some of their crops for a seedy place, and then did the one thing that I absolutely never do in Minecraft, slept for advancement number 4. Day 2, I spent a little bit of time killing their iron golem to acquire hardware, finding an abandoned nether portal right here by the village, and this is honestly a perfect setup. I crafted a bucket and a flint and steel, murdering quite a few more cows before saving the village from the temptation of drugs. I'm gonna need that later anyway. While there, I ate a raw potato to continue on my balanced diet and bred up some bees to get myself the parrots and the bats advancement. But it's back to the ocean. Play me ye pirate music in the background. Grabbing a treasure map, which will help a lot, and some armor and foods in the front of the boat, which I will definitely need. I started following on the map, finding my way to another village, which I slept there very quickly. I'm still basically made of tissue paper right now. Killing their golem for more iron and stealing everything that wasn't nailed down, including some things that were, including parts of their houses. I did my best Looney impression from the Game of Thrones scenario, making my way down the river towards where the treasure was buried, getting a heart of the sea and a bunch of gold, iron, and explosives. All of those would come in handy. But my inventory is looking quite full, so I jumped back in the boat, sailed back towards the original village I decided I was basing out of, and dropped off everything into the first chest. And I'm gonna apologize now. The inventory management situation never gets any better for the entire 100 days. Go ahead and cancel me. The next day I converted a lot of that iron into armor so I wouldn't go ahead and start dying, releasing all of the farmers that had been trapped inside of a pen and trading with one for what a deal. Grabbed myself an iron pick and then had to have a conversation with the locals. My bed. Get out of my bed. Mine. From there, I grabbed a bucket of some hot stuff and stored it off onto the side, carefully casting a nether portal right here at the village, which would prove extremely critical to my success. From there, I headed off to the nether, spawning in, and you know it, a basalt delta. Of course, it's a basalt delta. There's literally lava on one side of my portal. Cannot believe this always happens. I started doing a little bit of exploring in the nether, and it was not looking promising. On second thought, 'tis a silly place. Let's go home. Back to the overworld and back to the ocean, the antithesis of the nether, I sailed out, finding multiple different ocean monuments and a sunken ship with a decent little bit of treasure waiting for me inside. There's a map with no treasure on it whatsoever. Oh, that's weird. That's weird. It didn't generate a treasure. I've never seen that happen before. But I'm mainly just checking for POI. I found another ruined nether portal that had some meh loot inside and considered really taking some risks. Okay, a small part of me knows that this is potentially a really bad idea, but I really, and I mean really, really need to get that trident. So, okay, let's see if we can do this. Ow. Did they just break the boat? Oh no, they just broke the boat. Now I actually absolutely have to do this.
Nope.
Oh, and that was my first kill. Oh, that would have been amazing. Oh, I'm drowning. I continued sailing, finding a proper treasure map this time, and I set a Frostwalker boots so I can pretend to be Tanisha. And I still hadn't reached the other side. Portals were giving me meh loot, so I turned around. I'll see the other side of this giant abyss of an ocean someday. On the way back, I did get a bit of a jump scare. Oh my god, that scared me. Ah! When we can fly, we're absolutely figuring out what's on the other side of this massive ocean. Eventually making my way back towards the village and figuring if not by sea, then by land, I should explore what's around where I'm basing up. I made my way up a huge set of mountains, seeing emeralds and other valuable ores in the distance. Bucketing down to get them, every single one of those is one more trade. I killed a spider, a skeleton, and a zombie, basic mobs, but I do need them for monsters hunted. And I tried really hard for a while to get my own personal advancement. Come on. No, come on. I want this to happen. Come on. Oh, nope, nope, nope. Come here. I'm committed now. I want this disc. Never mind. I'm not committed anymore. I did end up killing an enderman for a pearl and a child for the clout, getting a zombie villager downed as well, because there's no way I'm getting them all the way back to home. Running through the forest and cresting the hill to the sunrise, going into day 6, where I was able to finally make it back to the village proper. From there, I set up a little bit of a multi-course meal and decided it was time to venture back into the Nether, this time with some gold armor on so I wouldn't be attacked by my piggy friends. Having to fight some giant bouncy angry cubes who were trying to push me into the lava, I eventually made my way out of the basalt deltas and into the Nether wastes and into the fortress for a terrible fortress, finding a blaze spawner almost instantly, but opting for the enclosed one instead. My very first blaze kill netting me a rod for into fire. Looting a lot of the chests, I found horse armor and saddles, but most importantly, netherwort and diamonds for another advancement. I continued my way through the fortress, getting all of the chests and all of the netherwort that was here, and then spent some time farming blazes. I'm still very early on, so I don't want to take too much damage, so I just boxed them off and stabbed them in their bottom ankle parts, netting more than enough blaze rods, which would get me to the stronghold and for some potions as well. After I was done with the blaze murder, I boated off of the fortress, seeing a few piglins in the distance and trapping them all in a hole for some capitalist, I mean trading, nabbing ice bucket challenge and who's cutting onions from different obsidian trades. From there, I bridged across the lava to a warped forest I had seen in the distance, trapping endermen in a boat and killing them, trying to get enough eyes so I could eventually find the stronghold. The terrain here wasn't the best, so it did take a lot of searching around and a lot of murder. And while I was only about 3/4 of the way towards the pearls I needed, I was out of food, so it was back to the overworld for a quick stop. Oh, let's get out of here. Oh. Saw creepers. Nope. Nope. Time for sleep. I will now celebrate by poisoning myself. Once I had recovered from my bad but necessary dietary decision, I grew a few trees in the center of the village just for wood until one big one grew, and nope, it's lore now. It stays there for some reason. Using that, I was able to craft a campfire, heading over to the beehive that was right here for Be Our Guest, which I'm gonna need for honey blocks down the road. As it started to get a little bit rainy, I trapped a villager inside a netherite box, putting a lightning rod on top of their heads. Don't worry, friend, you will help at some point in the future. Just hang out there for a little while. Spoiler alert, they stayed there for a very, very long time, and I do not feel at all guilty about it, and you will see why in just a little bit. I made them a cleric and did some trading to get them up to a higher level, hoping for a pearl trade, recruiting a Fletcher inside one of the other houses as my primary resource generation, trading sticks for emerald. It's slow going now as I have to chop down logs, but I'm gonna have a lot of world exploring that I have to do, and once I can find bamboo, that's going to be a cash cow. Into day 9, I'm still just deforesting most of the area, grabbing all of the logs, converting all of them into sticks, and trading them in for money. And now you're gonna see why I don't feel guilty about leaving this villager in the hole until their eventual demise. Please be good. Please be pearls. Do not be bottles. Please. Please be pearls. Well, now I don't mind if you get struck by lightning. I grabbed a bow from the Fletcher because I totally make good financial decisions and started brewing up a few fire resistance potions so I'd be more equipped to fight blazes and get a lot more blaze rods. But day 10 when I woke up, I'm feeling it. I'm in a good mood, so let's craft up the eyes and see just how far away the stronghold is. Throwing my first eye, it sent me in a southward direction towards another village, which was definitely helpful. I killed their golem off camera and then remembered, oh, I should probably have a shield, crafting one while I continued searching for the stronghold. I was doing a little bit of underwater mining, digging into a massive cave, which I just love 1.19 cave generation, finding a few diamond ores in the distance, thank you complimentary shaders. I did a little bit more general exploration through the dripstone caves, picking up not today thank you while fighting off one of the skeletons, breaking my axe and my chest plate at one point, which would become a theme of this 100 days. So to repair that, I went underwater, grabbing a little bit more iron, smelting that up to be able to craft a new chest plate and a new primary weapon. Eventually, I found the spot where the eyes dipped underground, digging down, and not directly, I'm not an animal, ending up with the eye spy advancement and continuing an extremely scuffed stronghold navigation. This thing had intersected with a mine shaft and multiple geodes, multiple dungeons that it had overlapped, and it was an absolute nightmare to explore. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? There's a dungeon too? This overrode a dungeon, a geode, and a mine shaft. What the heck? It actually overwrote multiple of all of those things, but I only found that out as I continued to explore it. And I had gone down literally every branch of this thing, and there was no clear path to a portal. Every single room was blocked. I found another spawner that was not completely yeeted, grabbing all the gunpowder out of that, which would prove useful in the future. But I literally went through every single door, marking and blocking off the tunnels behind me, and there was nothing. I could not find it. I am generally frustrated and I need to step away from this for a minute. I am not kidding when I said I was exploring this stronghold for almost a half an hour when I finally got it. I'm getting heated right now just looking at this footage and being reminded of this. And then this moment happened and I was vindicated so badly. There's more stone brick right there. If it's gonna be there the whole time, I'm gonna be very upset. Are you kidding me? So yeah, the geode blocked it, and I took that aggression out on the silverfish spawner, and then any of those little buggers who happen to be in render distance. Are we on eyes? Of course. 0 eyes. Being 4 short on eyes, I casted another nether portal right here in the portal room, which would definitely come in handy for a traversal later, ending up in a ravine and just looking all endermen in the eyes to lure them to their eventual death. Well, that was easy, but now we need to go get blaze rods. With enough pearls in my pocket, I headed in the direction of what I thought was my home portal because I know I needed a little bit more blaze powder to convert these into Eyes of Ender. Turns out though, I was wrong and I got very, very lost heading to an entirely separate nether fortress, killing blazes there and getting the end result that was exactly the same, but having to fight quite a few wither skeletons and some hoglins at the same time in a very tense, very troublesome build where I also broke my axe again and I just relied on closing myself into a box. Hopefully I had grabbed a screenshot of my coordinates of my stronghold portal, so I checked that and was able to navigate my way back to the ravine, heading back into the stronghold. And from there, my world would only get weirder. Oh, cursed door. I headed my way up to the surface, doing axe fishing for the entirety of the day, getting enough salmon and then smelting that up so that I would have a reliable food source going into the dragon fight. And then I was visited by my friend Switchback Mongo, who did this challenge as well. Go check out his video when you're done watching mine. He also brought me some leads and some leather. How kind. As I popped into the world and grabbed the end advancement, the end fight is something that I am quite familiar with at this time. I did, however, get take aim shooting the dragon, so I think that really helps in setting the tone for what this world's gonna look like. But as I was approaching the tail end of this fight, an enderman broke my shield, causing me to panic, having to run near the edge of the island and throw down a pool of water, and since they don't like showering, they were just staying on the outside, not able to attack me. Once that was out of the way, eliminating the dragon was just the next link in the chain. Let's go. Okay, now here's the big brain play. Well, no, we're just gonna get a little bit of it. We're gonna leave the rest, and we'll be back later. Once back into the overworld, I was back to work, chopping down trees, which I can convert into sticks to emeralds. But I also made a quick lectern, knowing that there are some key books that I am definitely going to need. And now I have the levels to do some enchanting as well. So I took a quick nap going into day 15, trapping a villager in a small little box, putting a lectern in front of them, and getting to work. Oh no, no. I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry. They're not gonna give me good trades even. Oh no. Oh, I'm supposed to have shaders on. How long were they off? Why didn't any of you tell me? See, shaders will give me good luck. Nope. Oh! Yes! Okay. 41 emeralds. Stay there. Don't do anything. We're gonna lock in the trade before it gets too late, and we'll come back and actually do it a little bit later. But, okay, unbreaking 3. Yet. But with one book down, I trapped another villager into a room ready to repeat the process the next day. And as soon as I reconnected to the world, I got a stroke of amazing luck. No shot did that just happen. Are you serious right now? I cannot believe it. I literally just logged back in. Okay, hold on. We need to get you somewhere safe and we need to get you to move towards, yes, mending, yes, okay. We're locking you in because, oh my god, you're amazing. All right, let's get you somewhere safe. You chill right there. I literally just logged back in after having dinner. That's amazing. With very clear prices for the books that I needed, I kept chopping down trees, converting all of that into sticks, and trading that with my Fletcher to be able to get a whole bunch of emeralds. Doing a little bit of fishing while they reset, getting fishy business as the next advance. Once I purchased the book, I got all of the sugarcane and more trees. Organizing my inventory and heading underwater for a little bit more iron so I could be able to craft up an anvil. From there, I accidentally dug into a cave, and things got tense. Oh my god. That was terrifying. A little bit more prepared this time, I headed back down into the cave, getting a ton of iron. There was iron basically everywhere that you would look around here, and I'm pretty sure it was actually a vein. I smelted all of that up, getting several blocks worth, which I was able to craft into an anvil, which would be pretty much essential once I got to the end. From there, I traveled through the Nether, knowing where both of my portals were, making my way into the stronghold, jumping into the end portal, then mining enough blocks and grabbing the remaining experience, even though I hadn't done any enchanting. I just didn't want it to despawn, heading up to the end gateway and throwing a pearl for remote getaway. Well, would you love to Oh! You love to see it. Twice! I headed over towards the first end city, getting the city at the end of the game and doing the best I can to fight shulkers in probably the weakest armor I've ever come to the end in. There's a ton of diamonds in here and a diamond armor, which would cover me with diamonds, which was a benefit and kind of the reason why I hadn't crafted any to this point. But I don't have feather falling. That's a key advancement that I'm missing, which I usually have when I'm in the end, and that would be terrifying. But I used the levitation to float my way over to the boat, mining in, murdering the shulker that was the guardian of my true goal here in the end, my wings. It's time to soar. Yes! The chests here weren't bad either. A bunch of gold, some protection 3 pants, and an efficiency 4 mending diamond pickaxe. Definite wins here. I crafted up a few shulkers, enchanted the elytra with mending, and things are looking good. And with that, cue the montage. It's day 19 and I'm feeling good. We're 28 advancements in and I'm enchanting up pretty much max tier swords and pickaxes right now. I have an elytra, so transport's gonna get a lot quicker, which is important because we're gonna be doing a lot of exploring very soon. I sailed over towards the nearby village, grabbing a cat for best friends forever, and starting my goal towards a complete catalog. From there, it's hitting every portal you can find, trying to find a god apple, eventually grabbing all of the gold blocks for a beacon, which we will need, and taming more cats so we can breed them, and also getting the whole set. On day 21, I found my way to a jungle biome, which is going to accelerate my economy immensely. Grabbing bamboo for that and some melons and cocoa beans for different food groups and heading my way back towards my original village. Planting all of that down and grabbing a fish in a bucket for tactical fishing. From there, I grew up a spruce log just to have a whole bunch of wood for supplies, crafting up an enchanting table and buying a crossbow from the Fletcher because I make good financial decisions for old Betsy. Since I grabbed Silk Touch, I grabbed and replaced the beehive for total bee location and worked on Sniper Duel until late in the night. Oh man, where did it go? Day 21, and we're 1/5 of the way through the challenge and just about 1/3 of the way through the advancements I need to get. It started raining and I figured since I was wet anyway, let's go underwater and hunt some drown. I'm gonna need to pick up a trident for several key advancements along the way, and while this child didn't drop their battle fork, I was not giving up that easily. I had another treasure map which I picked up some mid-tier loot from, and then was surrounded by so many drowned. I need nautilus shells and tridents, so any of the others that are spawning are not really my bag. And I spent all day and most of the night flying around and hunting them and had basically nothing to show for it. That was a bit of a bummer. Day 22, I planted all of the sugarcane, grabbed an Unbreaking 3 book from my ATM villager, and finally fully enchanted my elytra. That feels good. I headed back over to the Nether since my exploring range was greatly increased, not putting any gold on so I could pick up the Ooh Shiny advancement and flying, eventually finding a Bastion and wishing I had some gold, getting those were the days while landing on its roof. I thankfully had fire resistance and a whole bunch of arrows, so I was able to take out all of the piglins pretty much indiscriminately, opening up a chest for war pigs and finding some ancient debris inside of a chest for hidden in the depths. That was a lot of advancements very quickly, but it's only about to accelerate. I got Pig Step, which isn't an advancement, but absolutely should be. Continuing flying around, hitting a Soul Sand Valley for hot tourist destinations. And as soon as I landed, the first Ghasts I saw and me played a little tennis. Yes, let's go. 2 purples back to back. 6 advancements in one day and I was feeling pretty good. I flew through another Bastion in a hit and run, finding more Netherite scrap in their chests, just continuing to search around for any POI that I could hit for a quick resource gain. It was then that I hit Bingo Fuel and things almost ended really badly. Oh, that was so stupid. With that very close and entirely my fault call, I headed up into the fortress, barricading myself off from all of the mobs that were here, making a nether portal, getting an advancement to turn lemons out of lemonade. But I was very far from home, had very little food, and no rockets. So I spent a little time just decimating the pig population. I'm not gonna lie, this is a bit of a pickle. I'm 8,000 blocks away from home with no gunpowder, and time is of the essence. And then I thought I would have the Giga Chad moment, the absolute big brain play. So instead of waiting until the night to hunt out for gunpowder, I went back into the Nether, finding and killing a few Endermen to get myself a pearl. From there, I dug all the way up to the Nether roof, found just the right opportune moment, and pearled through to the Nether roof. And while I was running back towards spawn, I started thinking about what were my key priorities next. Which advancements should I prioritize so I could do them early enough that I didn't have to risk them sneaking up on me at the very end of the challenge. But I think my problem here is infrastructure. I was able to make a portal and return back to the village, taking a well-deserved nap, getting to day 25, and, well, so I guess you could say that incident in the Nether was a sticky situation. Sierra, please don't quit. I enchanted a book to get the enchanter advancement, and before I could go ahead trying to get looting 3 via a lectern... There we go, that's what I need. Instantly threw that on the sword, getting sharpness as a bonus. And while I waited for it to get dark so I could put that enchantment to use, I set up a target block and started focusing on the bullseye advancement. I knew I could get this a little bit later with a redstone contraption, but I wanted to try to get it legitimately, moving my mouse pixels at a time in the low DPI mode that I never use because I don't really play shooters anymore. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be, and hunting creepers throughout the rest of the night for gunpowder was immediately more profitable. Plus, I had mending on my pickaxe, so I was able to use that to repair, and I don't need to worry about a totem or a shield in my offhand right now because I'm doing okay. Seriously, night 25 is where things started to take a turn, and I had a lot of the advancements and infrastructure that I needed, or I was actually able to make progress, turning a near-death experience into when I started to dominate this game. On day 26, I watched one of the bees kill a skeleton, and before I could breed them up, they got trapped on the campfire and killed themselves there too. Dang it. So with no bees left, I grabbed the last little bit of honeycomb from there and wax on, wax off. Right after I got that though, it started raining and I was really hoping it would be a thunderstorm so I could teach that villager a lesson. But once I realized it wasn't, I flew out to a bunch of different villages, taming 3 different cats at the Savannah village over, and we're not gonna talk about what happened to one of them. And as I'm out on these adventuring parties, I'm checking any ruined portal I can, trying to find a god apple. I absolutely need one for a balanced diet and to get how did we get here. I did find a few drowned with nautilus shells in hand, which was definitely helpful, getting back to the village and trying to put some time into getting the bullseye advancement. Don't worry though, I'd already spent half of a day just shooting arrows wildly at a target, so this time we're using a little bit of mechanical know-how and a bunch of arrows trapped in a trapdoor to get it with the flick of a lever. The next day though, I'm still out in search for a trident and to knock out any biomes I can. I captured another cat for the catalog, now only needing a few more, finding a bamboo jungle, grabbing a little bit of that, and breeding 2 pandas for 2x2. From there I popped into a savannah village, dumping almost a full stack of fish into this orange cat, and it still didn't want to be my friend until it was nighttime. I'm not mad about that at all, I promise. But for some reason I was compelled with rage to kill a bunch of drowned throughout all of the night. Day 29, I was breeding the cats at home and heading out for yet another adventure, just trying to find tried and drowned, and I found multiple. Oh, there's 2. There's 3. Okay, one of these has to drop it. There's like 4. There's still 3 more right here. This has to be it. This has to be when we finally get it. Seriously? There were 3 of them right there. Oh, this is the worst. It's right there. Let me pick it up. After some unsuccessful fork collection, I did happen to find another 4-letter F word just waiting for me in the swamps. Frog. Okay, where's other frog? I continued flying along in this path, getting from the swamps to snowlands, breeding another cat near a village, and killing a strafer monster hunted and a rabbit because, well, that would come in, which would matter a lot on like day 87. Don't worry, that will come up. I'm taming basically every cat I see, probably almost certainly getting some duplicates going into day 30, where I trapped a goat in a boat, jumping into it for 1 advancement, breeding 2 of them for 2x2, and then I wanted to get something that might not have been on my to-do list, but was definitely something I wanted. Here we see a wild tanisha in its natural habitat. It can be seen wandering through snowy plains, known mainly for stealing and chaos and mischief. It is unknown whether or not this one will find its way home. Oh, hello there. Oh, yes, yes, it did it. It did it. Where's the horn? I got it. This isn't an advancement, I just wanted one. With a goat horn in hand, I murdered my audience. There can be no evidence of this. Using one of their crossbows to shoot another one of them, and who's the pillager now? From there, my tour around the frozen lands continued, taming a few more cats and a dog. Just, you know, being equal opportunity. Day 31, I'm continuing my biome world tour, searching for a few of the rarer ones. Deserts, badlands, and oh, look at that, ice spikes. I'm stopping at any village that I can find, looking at every single cat, and just constantly asking, are you one of the ones that I need? Are you one of the ones that I need? Both! Both of the cats I need are right here. I'm gonna stand still. I'm actually gonna do it how it's intended to be done for once. No, I'm not. Look, I don't have the patience to do the whole stand perfectly still in place and don't so much as touch your mouse if you want to be able to tame cats. I chase them down and shellfish into their face until they love me. With 3 more, I'm just missing the one that would come out of a witch hut, grabbing a little bit of seagrass and breeding up some turtles for 2x2, flying over a coral reef, and finally finding a desert. And finding potentially the smallest desert ever, which I thought was a beach until the husks started spawning. I killed one of them for monsters hunted, taking a nap and then double checking on my advancement. Yep, just 1 cat left. And that one, I don't find at a village. But while we're making progress in all these advancements, on the way home, I saw an underwater portal. And, well, we made a really big step forward. Oh, that is amazing. I thought I'm gonna have to go to an ancient city for that. I can't believe I just found that in a random portal. From there, I did a little bit of organizing. And like I said at the start of the video, the chest monster never gets better, it only ever gets worse. I repaired my diamond boots, cooking up the rabbit to make a rabbit stew, as well as eating the cooked rabbit directly, and fought creepers for the rest of the night for gunpowder going into day 33. I took all of the ancient debris that I had collected in my first blast mining trip, smelting it down and thinking I might not be able to get all of it in one go, but I definitely want to be a bit more protected with a netherite chest plate. From here, I'm back out over the ocean flying around, and I'm going to keep going until I get this trident. The first one that I killed didn't have anything, and while I was finding more with nautilus shells in their hands, and they were more than willing to share, it took a while before I got what I was looking for. Finally! Oh my god. Finally, I got it. I got it! Okay, that is huge. We need to get home as quickly as possible. With the trident finally in hand, I needed to get home and get that enchanted as quickly as possible. It needed mending, unbreaking, and channeling on it because the window to get a thunderstorm is actually quite small. And if I missed my opportunity, it's possible that I would not be able to complete this 100 days challenge. So that's what I was doing on day 34, just economy, full send, capitalism, here we go. While I was waiting for the Fletcher to restock on their trades in the second trading round of the day, I built a scaffolding tower all the way up to build height and dug a hole all the way down to bedrock. We're gonna knock out several advancements all in one go. As it got into the night, I was killing creepers, as I did almost every night, for more gunpowder, for more rockets, so I could go fly around. Usually I'd build a farm, but in a temporal world like this, it didn't really make sense. And then I realized that one of my villagers had been converted into a zombie villager and was sitting in a boat down in the coast. So I built a roof over their head to protect them, going into the next day brewing up some splash weakness potions, throwing one of them onto it, and stuffing a golden apple in their face. Continuing work on the tower to get it all the way up to build height, and doing more trades with my villagers for more emeralds. I made a spyglass for something we're gonna need a little bit later when Zombie Doctor finally popped. As did them in the boat, standing up, where they almost suffocated to death. Oh, that was almost really bad. Hi, friends. How you doing? Let's get you up somewhere where you can, you know, not be dead. Since this was the first villager I had cured, I definitely wanted to turn them into a trader so I would get better rates. And on the second roll, I got infinity for 1 emerald. Oh my god, it only took like 3 rolls. Oh, that's so good. I immediately locked that in, upgrading my bow with it, so I would never have to worry about running out of arrows, and that's one fewer resource I need to worry about managing as I went flying off towards the desert. But as night fell, I realized it would be an advantageous moon cycle to head back over to the swamp, hopefully to find some slimes that I could kill for slime balls that I could use to breed frogs. A few had spawned, which I was able to take out pretty quickly, making my way down into a lush cave, knocking that off for adventuring time, and grabbing some glowberries to snack on for a balanced diet. I also flew over a frozen ocean, finding several more frozen villages, and on the morning of day 36, wandered my way into a pillager tower, the closest one to spawn that I could find, and it's over 2,000 blocks away. I did a casual bit of murdering for voluntary exile, freeing a few of the LAs, giving and throwing a potato at them for You've Got a Friend in Me, one of the hidden advancements of 1.19. From there, I headed over to one of the villages that I had found with a nice ice lake on one side, which would be good to escape enemies, and it was time for a raid. I don't even take on raids in my hardcore world. I really rely on a raid farm for any of the resources I would get from that. And by the way, my hardcore world is pretty amazing. You should go watch the series in it. I'll leave a link below the like button. But I was keeping my distance using the ice, which kind of messed with the pillager pathfinding to be able to sprint, jump away, and cover distance very quickly. There were a few incidents of friendly fire, but we're not going to talk about that. I better not see anything in the comments. As an iron golem was doing some work, helping me with the evoker that was trapped inside this little fence, netting me my first totem of undying. The fight continued all the way through the night, and Vex were basically my biggest problem. Without Power 5 bow, a lot more of them were spawning than I normally had to deal with. When the final wave of the raid was up, and we were talking evokers on Ravagers, that's where it started to get a little bit tricky, and I had to do quite a bit of just running and kiting, shooting down enemies from a distance. Thankfully, I had safely protected all of the villagers inside, meaning I didn't need to be actively patrolling and could just be picking them off occasionally whenever I had the opportunity. As I killed the fourth evoker downtown, getting yet another totem, all of these which would come in extremely handy, I found a few mobs pinned down in a cave, and this raid met an unceremonious end. Let's go! Nice. From there, I flew home, using the spoils of war and hero of the village to get discounted trades on Unbreaking 3 and Mending, which I would use to enchant the trident to get that thing back up into fighting shape. This morning, though, there's one more spell that I need, and I was able to do a little bit of re-rolling with a lectern and one of the few uncommitted villagers outside, getting channeling after just a few tries. Now, looking back at this footage, I passed on that. I passed on channeling for 17, and instead I kept rolling for loyalty, which I got for 33 after a little while. I mean, it does help making sure the trident is more than single use, but why would I pass up on that? Why would I do that? It took me a good portion of the day trading in alder bamboo and sticks for more emeralds and trading in a bunch of wheat to one of the farmer villagers that was here to be able to pick up the loyalty right at the end of the day, and I still needed channeling. Just, ugh. But at least the thing was enchanted now, meaning that I could finally repair it in my nightly hunting session, and to cap the night off, I let it fly for a throwaway joke, which, funny story, was my band name back in college. But on the morning of day 39, I realized that with Hero of the Village active and my cured villager, I had a positive loop, being able to trade bookcases for one, and then individual books for one, meaning I got a 2x return on any emeralds that I threw in. So I spent quite a little bit of time investing with them. All right, time for like 3 advancements at once. This should be interesting. I've done this once or twice before, and it's a really cool way to hack the system. So all we have to do, throw a pearl down that way, and then straight up. Open up the UI, trade, and then fall. And I have my totem. Oh no, I think I did it wrong. Do I have to go one further down? I think I have... Oh no, I did it wrong! Okay, let's try this again. This time we will water bucket clutch it. Hey, let's go. Never let it be said that Legundo doesn't know how to MLG. I can clutch it when it counts. It's day 40. We're over halfway done with our advancements, and we're below the halfway mark in days. But difficulty ramps up pretty quickly when we get to some of the later ones, and they require a bit more setup. Case in point, a full tier beacon, where we're gonna need a lot of gold blocks for. Thankfully, I have a trident, so I can go around killing Elder Guardians, who I do need to kill for monsters hunted, and running around and grabbing sponges, which I don't need in this world, but you know the loot goblin in me is always going to go ahead and collect those regardless. The big thing I was at for each of these monuments was the gold blocks, and by day 41, I was attempting to sneak my way into the back before mining fatigue would become active, grabbing the gold and just doing the occasional Elder Guardian kill whenever I didn't happen to get to it fast enough. I did this for several monuments with kind of varying levels of success and a decent bit of murder in there as well, with a stack and a half of sponges in my pocket for good measure. While I hadn't completed any advancements for the last 2 days, I definitely made massive progress on the big ones, so I celebrated with a cookie. Day 42, I started the day by doing a little bit of repairs on my sword and my helmet, flying out and finding the next village over, putting down a bookcase there, and grabbing channeling for 15 emeralds after a little bit of time. It's the exact same trade that I passed up on. Why didn't I have this 3 days sooner? But I guess without loyalty, it would have made clearing the monuments impossible, so you know what? I big brained it. I absolutely knew what was going on. From there, I continued searching around, just trying to find any new and different biomes that I could for adventuring time. I eventually stumbled my way into a mangrove forest, finding a few more frogs there, which would definitely come in handy, breeding a few of them with slime balls and making a small puddle for them to drop the frog spawn into. From there, I threw both of the frogs in a boat so they wouldn't be going anywhere. I made a portal, recording the coordinates. Since I had access to the nether roof, or kind of had access to the nether roof, I'd be able to get back here with a portal on the nether side at corresponding coordinates, which would make transporting these frogs a lot easier. But once the eggs hatched, I scooped up the tadpoles for bucket advancement and being able to breed those up in different climates, flying my way through an eroded badlands and a desert. And the fact that I emphasized eroded, yeah, that's gonna come up later, trust me. I'm still collecting any obsidian that I could find for some of the later advancements that I'm worried about that I will definitely need that for. But as I was flying out over the plains, you know what's about to happen, right? Oh my goodness, hello. Never punished, every series, we always find one. Let's get you in a boat. Come here. Yes. Hello. I'll be back for you later. Just wait here. Every time, without fail. I love it. What do we do by celebrating the presence of an interdimensional god being? You know it. We throw a jukebox down for sound of music. Now, you might not believe me, but if I hadn't found this pink sheep at these coordinates, I would have failed the entire 100 days challenge when that time came around. But I ended day 44 by shooting arrows over a mountain at a few pixels off in the distance at a random skeleton, and it turns out I am the better Mark Wahlberg. Day 45 was about traveling and breeding mobs. First, I bred a horse and a donkey for a mule, and then 2 horses together for another horse, eventually finding a few chickens and breeding them together for, wouldn't you know it, a horse. No, I'm kidding, it's a chicken. I saw a few more drown trying to pick up nautilus shells, and I got like this trident thing instead. Worthless. But I'm just running around searching for more mobs right now, trying to complete 2 by 2. I bred up a few pigs the next morning just to be sure. I wasn't sure if I had done it by this point. Flying off in another direction, making my way over towards a mega taiga biome where I was able to find some sweet berries, grabbing those and eating them, but eventually spotting an azalea tree. Digging down immediately underneath it, I hoped to be able to find some axolotls down here. I dug through a geode into the actual lush cave space, finding a whole bunch of diamonds throughout the majority of the night, and fighting creepers for gunpowder, and I just love 1.19 cave generation. It's amazing. You wouldn't know it being underground and everything, but I spent all of day 46 just searching. On day 47, finding a few isolated water pools up in a corner, making a few buckets and grabbing the cutest predator. With a few of them in bucket form in my inventory, where they would keep for forever, I flew through another crack in the surface, making my way back up to the overworld, finding a few foxes who I leashed together, fed berries, and bred them for 2x2. As I was pulling back up to home after this massive adventuring party out, a thunderstorm began and I needed to move quickly. The first thing I realized was that I didn't have channeling on the trident, so I threw that on as quickly as possible. But before I even had an opportunity, lightning struck the lightning rod, turning that villager into a witch, and it didn't count as being from me. So I flew off to the next village over, where everybody was a bit more free range, grabbing surge protector from the lightning rod that was stuck on somebody's roof, and then throwing a trident through their door, attempting to hit them with lightning. Realizing that they need to be outside, I hit a nearby zombie to pick up very, very frightening, spawning in a witch and running. I realized as it continued to go off, this was my opportunity to get a zombie piglin kill without too much danger. Hitting a pig with one of those and then yeeting them off in the distance, that's one more mob killed for monsters hunted. Oh, that feels so good. I think we're done. That was the hardest part. And I think we just got it. I cleared out the witch before she would be constantly throwing potions at my ankles. And at this point, I think we were done with any weather-based advancements. So that was one less piece of RNG that we were through. On day 48, I flew off to capture some buckets of tropical fish, bringing them back home to breed up the axolotls for 2x2, throwing both of my adult axolotls into buckets and bringing both of them along with me for a fight. So I just punched it down and then let the axolotls kill it, thinking that was what you needed to do. That's what the advancement says, but it turns out that's not exactly true. And even after a couple different attempts, that wasn't working. It actually took quite a bit of Googling, getting my way to the Minecraft wiki and realizing that this advancement is basically backwards of what it says you actually have to do. So on day 49, with two of them still in buckets, I dove my way into an ocean monument. We needed multiple enemies that were tagged at this point that then I could kill, not the other way around. Once they had tagged one of the guardians, I followed up with a sword, stabbing them quite a few times in the face for the healing power of friendship. It's funny how that works sometimes. But as I was trying to get my axolotls and get out, only one of them was remaining. Unfortunately, the healing power of friendship only goes so far. While I was mourning that loss, I headed home, grabbing a bunch of wood and converting a little bit of it into a sign. Having killed a glow squid on my way back home and approaching the midpoint of this entire challenge, lo and behold, we were making big progress. Day 50, it's time to head back to the Nether, but with an entirely different set of goals. I found a spot where I could just mine down to y equals 15, and it's time for some explosive bed mining. Normally, when I'm netherite mining, I have a ton of TNT, and beds is way slower and a little bit more dangerous. But I did eventually find a grand total of 3 pieces of netherite. And after mining those up and preparing for the next bed, well, we continued with the theme. Oh no. Oh, that's massive. That hurts so much. I kept bed mining though after that, not realizing that I needed the diamond pick in order to mine the ancient debris. I'm good at this game, I promise I actually know what I'm doing. So the next day, we need a new diamond pickaxe and probably some more shulker boxes to be able to transport all the resources we're looking for. So a good idea would be heading over to the end and being reminded of my mistakes by having to break the basalt by hand since there was no pickaxe available. I flew through the end gateway and over to the end cities, just trying to find any chests that I hadn't looted my first time around. The first couple cities that I had visited were fully looted, so I just spent the rest of day 51 sailing off in one direction, just trying to find another city to potentially loot. And on day 52, I found a brand new city, which was really great. And while I was collecting shulker shells, I grabbed an efficiency 3 diamond pickaxe and then noticed that I had a bunch of diamonds in the ender chest. I actually realized by the end of this video, I never used an ender chest at all. Maybe that's an extra bonus advance, but with a pickaxe and shells in hand, I flew back towards a city that I had cleared previously, the one I had gotten my wings out originally, and there was a gateway right inside. And right about now, my hard drive filled up with all of the recording. I had this and the Game of Thrones video and another thing that I'm recording that will come later. and I didn't notice for a little while as I was building up a platform and a bridge. Eventually, I caught on just after I had trapped a shulker in a boat and was preparing to set them off on the bridge. Sailing them in this direction was extremely tense, and they had hit me with a levitation ball right before I got in the boat. So when we went through the gateway, I got great view from up here by transporting not only 50 blocks down, but thousands of blocks laterally as well, which is a unique way to get this one. While we were on end advancements, I was reminded to pick up the egg for the next generation, putting it on top of some ancient debris, and then using a fortune pickaxe to mine down all of the diamonds and iron so that we can set those up in block form for a beacon down the road. The next morning, I did a little bit of creeper hunting just to re-up on my gunpowder supply so I can continue flying around, searching around for mobs to breed and biomes to discover. I went flying in search of the deep dark primarily, diving into every hole that I could find, but saw a few donkeys that I was able to breed for 2x2, getting to about 3/4 of the way there, and flying around the different jungle biomes, grabbing anything from jungle biomes with flying around the jungle biomes with hitboxes on, trying to get eyes on and flying around the jungle biomes with hitboxes on for anything that looks vaguely like a cat or, you know, an ocelot, which is a wild cat. I didn't find a cat, but I did find a bird, looking with it through a spyglass to get the "Is it a bird?" achievement. I don't know, Minecraft. Is it bird? Is burb? You know what burb is not? Burb is not part of 2x2 advancement because you cannot breed parrots. Mojang, why? Why can you not breed parrots? But I realized as I was searching for ocelots, I didn't have enough fish in my inventory probably, so I did a little bit of sword fishing in the rivers, finding a jungle temple, which is the most underwhelming structure in the game, but there were a few emeralds in the chest, so that's nice. But I'm looting portals and sleeping out underneath the stars, getting into day 55 when I realized that I was looking in the wrong biomes. So I headed over towards a proper jungle biome, finding an ocelot on top of a tree. I grabbed a lead immediately, tying them up to a pole, and figured if I flew back and forth searching around, another one would probably spawn, and the one who was leaded wouldn't despawn, right? Well, no, it turns out that's only actually boats. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little heated about that, and I rage quit for about a day on this challenge just because of that cat. And after 3 in-game days of searching, an hour worth of searching, when I logged back in 2 days later, you know what I found? I found 2 cats almost immediately. I got them both on leads and bred the ocelots for 2x2, continuing to fly around looking for additional biomes to explore. Any gold blocks that I find are going directly into the inventory, and any creepers that I find are being turned into gunpowder, which explodes in my face or goes directly into the inventory, one of the two. On day 56, I finally found some 1.19 mountains with a snowy peaks biome and a huge portal right here, which just looked really cool. I killed a couple animals for leather. Yes, all animals that drop leather, don't you judge me. Like I said, I'm a menace. Making some leather boots for light as a rabbit by walking on powdered snow. From there, I dove down into the hole, and yes, this is the perfect spot as there's a deep dark biome down here that is pretty accessible. There's no ancient city, at least as far as I can tell, but there is quite a bit of diamonds and other resources and some shriekers that could be easily isolated, or at least I thought they could be easily isolated. I killed a couple creepers right at the edge of the biome and got it spread by one of them dying next to a catalyst, throwing down some torches thinking that the space was safe, and it was very much not safe as a warden spawned on my head. That is what we in the business know as time to leave. So I flew through to the other side of the caves, a couple 100 blocks away where I was probably safe, grabbing whatever gunpowder I can from the creepers and whatever diamonds I see embedded in the floor or walls. I found a separate spot that was much more isolated from any other potential outlets of the deep dark and isolated a single shrieker, grabbing some obsidian from my shulker box and making a portal here, but not going through. I wanted to note the coordinates so that I could isolate this on the nether roof to be able to get easier access to it, because when it comes time to use this space, I will definitely be on the clock. From there, I dug up to the surface and beelined it straight home. I can't sleep right now because I'm trying to spawn phantoms for a different advancement that I need, so I spent the night organizing. So, to make this all work, we're gonna need access to the nether roof. We've already been up there, and there is a portal there that connects to the portal at our village, so we're gonna need to break bedrock to get to it. And then I thought I had the big brain idea. We have a portal, so we don't need to break bedrock. All we need to do is get rid of the portal that we have on the lower level. Now, we could have just broken that portal, but that's not cool, so I decided to blow it up. Welp. That didn't work. If I see so much as one comment in there that all I needed to do was light the TNT later in that process, I'm just going to ban you. I really am. I feel bad about this, and I'm ashamed, and I don't want to hear about it. The problem I have now is I have none of my shulker boxes, I don't have a totem anymore, and I have very limited rockets to be able to get to where the stronghold portal is. I demolished the existing obsidian and flew over towards where the stronghold portal was located, ending up in the end, and then being reminded that there's a shulker box just sitting there on the spawn platform. I did a little bit of digging right there just to get that place a little bit ready when it's time to bring the shulker to the overworld. From there, I jumped into the end portal, ending up at world spawn and marking it, which would be extremely important for later. Going through the portal at the village, which now did link to the one on the roof. So, mission accomplished, I guess? So day 60, I forgot to start recording before heading off to the Nether roof, but all I'm doing right now is going to all of the coordinates that I had recorded in my notes for working on this document and getting the corresponding portals on the Nether roof so we'd be able to link everything into the portal network. First up was the frogs, getting them on leads and back to where it spawned. Secondly was the pink sheep that we had found earlier, making sure that they would be safe and cozy at our home in the overworld. Every time, every 100 days, you love to see it. Hello, my pink friend. My wonderful pink friend, hello. I'm having a moment here. From there, I set up a few tadpoles in a box so we'd be able to breed orange frogs. And the next morning, we need new nether access to be able to access the main body, because we're not just done with everything inside hell yet. I cast a portal in a nearby lava pool, getting into the nether, and putting down a respawn anchor for not quite 9 lives, fully charging it, marking where this portal was, eating some mushroom stew to contribute to a balanced diet, and heading off to a fortress where I was breaking spawners and breaking necks on wither skeletons. I'm taking some hits though, getting down to only about 3 or 4 hearts, so I needed to find one in a much more adaptive biome. This one in a warped forest looked pretty good, and I was able to run a pretty consistent loop around the overall structure with more wither skeletons spawning around me that I can consistently be farming for skulls. It's efficient, but it's not fast, getting my first skull and spooky scary skeletons on day 61. As I continued just running the loop and running the loop, I did pick up a second skull from a pack of wither skeletons that was on the roof of one of the outcroppings, and then just continued going around in that circle several times, and I'm talking several times, until I was completely out of food, but finally picking up the third skull after about 10 more minutes. From here, I am totally out of food, but there is food at home. But there's also food here in hell, except the food does try to kill you here in hell. I did get to see the rare piglin dance as they had just slayed one of the hoglins, and this batch around me was docile, but I also couldn't breed them, which is something I did need to do. I tenderized several of them into pork chops and then selected 2 very special ones to breed them for 2x2, one of them falling into the lava immediately after. But with everything I wanted to do in this trip in the Nether complete, I headed back towards my home portal and placed the skulls on top of this ancient debris tower. Day 63, I'm hunting any creepers that I can find and harvesting wool from all of the sheep that I could find for additional bed bombing. I started carving out a 50 block long tunnel that we'd be able to fill with lava for Strider for feels like home, which we're definitely going to need to do. But before I was worried about any more lava filling, I was back to netherite mining. Bed bombing was proving moderately effective, and I was finding pieces of ancient debris every now and then, with another 5 in my inventory after just a few minutes, and even more a few beds later after that. I need 15 pieces of ancient debris for everything that I want to do to be able to get all of the advancements, for a full set of armor, a lodestone, and a netherite hoe. But wouldn't you know it, time is like a flat circle. It rhymes, and, well, I broke my pick again. If I had a nickel for every time I was netherite mining and I broke a critical tool which I was currently depending on, I'd have 3 nickels. 2 in this series and 1 in Dominion, which is disappointing that it's happened 3 times. Out of frustration, I headed back towards the portal, finding a lava pool that was actually relatively close, and picking up a strider for This Boat Has Legs, which I think they named that advancement for me. Setting them up in a little pen and being reminded that you can pen animals, so the sheep are no longer free range. I'm going to to be harvesting all of the wool a lot quicker now. From there, I crafted a new diamond pickaxe and explored some possible enchants for it, smelting up 2 netherite ingots and a bit of extra scrap. It's also time to repair my boots, pants, and helmet without unbreaking on everything. I think armor and tools are not lasting as long. But some extra durability from netherriting the pants and boots, that could definitely go a long way. And I'm 3/4 of the way to cover me in debris. To end the day off, I bred some frogs, pulling them through the portal so they could hang out with their brethren here on the nether roof, which is safe. And right now, as I'm looking back at the footage, I realized I had forgot to turn on shaders again. So I apologize that this video looks a little inconsistent. I enchanted up a crossbow with piercing, which I'll use later tonight, harvesting wood and wool for additional bed bombs, which I will use in just a couple days. I threw another tadpole in a bucket so I'd be able to get green frogs a little bit later, doing multiple trips back and forth from the nether and to my little channel here to set it up with lava buckets, except I didn't really have a lot of buckets. I did that for the better part of day 65, just getting that lava channel ready to go. But when night fell, this is the main thing I wanted to do today. I need to get 2 birds, 1 arrow, and the easiest way to do that is by trapping 2 phantoms in a boat and then shooting them both when they can't escape. I was able to get them both in the first time, but they weren't low enough health, and the arrow just broke the boat. So but thankfully, there was only 2 phantoms that had spawned, and reinforcements never arrived. So I was able to get them trapped in the same boat a little bit later in the evening and launch an arrow. Just, that feels satisfying. On day 66, I upgraded that crossbow, getting piercing 3 on it, just 1 more to the final step of what I need, setting aside the ingredients for a cake, which I'll need for a later advancement, and making a few extra buckets just to try to make this lava corridor be a little bit faster. After only a couple more trips, I had fully completed the corridor, and I grabbed my friend Walter the Strider and headed off to the overworld. Let's go. Yes. Okay, friend, I feel bad kidnapping you, so we'll put you back. Besides, I'm probably gonna need to bring the frogs over here, so I don't want them in the way. There's only a few more nether advancements that I need, and most of them are gated by netherite, but one isn't. It's Uneasy Alliance, and for that, I'm gonna need to build a couple really big portals. So I spent some time mining out a bunch of obsidian until I got jump scared. Yep, that's a sign. I can't believe a mob actually tried and almost successfully assassinated me on day 66. I make an order 66 joke like every other one of these videos, and one was finally made on me. I completed mining out all the obsidian on the morning of day 67, heading back into the nether to do more bed mining and getting lucky occasionally with some ancient debris just where I'm setting up the tunnels. As I was wrapping up with only another 3 ancient debris to my name, a piglin jump scared me and got me down below half health. I have to remember that they don't like me in this reality. But I got home, smelted that all up, and cover me in debris is done. Now there's only 2 ingots remaining, and I already have half of one of them ready to go. And don't worry, I didn't break my pick a 3rd time. I did repair it with a couple diamonds that I had lying around. On day 68, since I was no longer worried about the depths of the nether, at least not for a little while, I went flying on the roof over to the coordinates that I needed to be able to link the deep dark into the portal network. Thankfully, it was only a couple 100 blocks in the nether, so that worked out wonderfully. I mined a few diamonds that I saw and put down the tadpoles so they would grow up into green frogs. The deep dark counts as a cold biome, figuring out where I was going to plant the beacon and mining a spot just straight up to the surface. Once daylight had been achieved, I headed back down underground and found something that I thought was impossible. Wait a minute. Isn't that supposed to be like near impossible in 1.19? Isn't that supposed to be not able to generate? Look at me! I found an illegal block. Seriously, if you want to access my map after we're done, accessing it via Patreon is the best way to do it. It's available for all tiers. Just go check it out. But as I'm waiting for the frogs to breed up, I just mined some skulk. I need levels anyway, so just mining this is definitely great. But eventually, I heard the rabbit, and 1 green frog was waiting for me. I grabbed them on a lead and got when the squad hops into town, which, to be fair, I thought you actually had to have all 3 at once. That's way more thematic. Now this is the way you should actually have to get the advancement. When the squad truly hops into town. We've got them all going though. Now, I kind of want to be safe here. So let's be smart. So let's hook all of them. And you're my guinea pig. And see whether or not we can take you to the magma cubes or have to bring the magma cubes to you. All right, they're ready to go. I headed back to the overworld, leading my frog and running along the little path that I needed to from the roof portal to the floor portal, basically. Since the basalt delta was right there, it was going to be really easy to get this frog very close to some magma cubes. They were practically spawn camping me at this portal. I did do a little bit of work to make sure that the frog wouldn't just immediately unalive itself by jumping into lava. But once a few magma cubes were close, I pulled them on the lead and got my first few frog lights. 1 for 3 down and 2 more to go. I full sent it, just grabbing both of them at once and getting almost killed by a creeper, bowing down whatever mobs were in my way and getting my hoppy buddies to the lower levels of hell, where they were both able to spawn me a frog light, where I completed with our powers combined. Day 70, and I'm feeling like it's time to close out the Nether altogether. If I have one fewer dimension that I need to worry about when it comes to future advancements, that's definitely a better position to be in. Getting towards a crimson forest and building a portal, thinking I could easily get a hoglin through it, all I had to do was light it once. Except the hoglin literally just walked through the portal. It didn't get sent there, and I thought maybe because it's single player, I have to go through first. Which I did very quickly, and then a few seconds later was able to send through 2 hoglins to the overworld. By the time I had gone through the portal, they had already transformed, and 2 zoglins were easy to kill, meaning I only had 1 mob left on monsters hunted, and it was gonna be a big one. But the next thing for me was uneasy alignments. I would fly up to wherever I saw a ghast, and then try to speed build a portal with the limited obsidian I had, using a fishing rod to try to get them through. I did pick up Is It a Balloon by looking at one with a spyglass, but I had the absolute worst luck getting it down to the surface, and then instinctually punched the fireball at one point, killing my prospective ally. I'm thinking nether wastes is probably not the way to do it, and also doing it in open nether might not be the best idea. With limited resources, I should build a little mini ghast farm and see if somehow I could wire that to work through a portal. So I headed to the nether roof, flying around until I saw a soul sand valley, and then building a large netherrack platform that was only 4 blocks tall with a portal on one side of it, figuring that if a ghast spawned in here, they'd be stuck, and then I could just fishing rod them through the portal super easily. The problem I have is there's a reason that you go with the farms that the actual smart people design, because this thing was absolutely scuffed. I mean, it worked. Mobs spawned on the platform and ghasts were spawning around, except they were spawning on top of the blocks that were meant to hold them in place, which meant I had free floating ghasts in a free floating platform with no ground in any direction for at least 100 blocks. So it was even harder than trying to do it in the open nether where there were, you know, walls. I tried that for all of day 71 and then demolished this little farm and bathed in my shame. Day 72, I'm back to the overworld and realized that I'm not going to complete the nether right now, and I need to make progress. I can't just be sitting and getting frustrated with ghasts. So I smelted up a little bit of food, banked all of the resources, and then leashed a dolphin and started searching around to hunt drowned. I was specifically looking for nautilus shells, and wouldn't you know it, I found a trident. Let's go! Another trident! We're absolutely gonna get zoomies on that. We've had enough rain. I want to be able to fly here. Anyway, here I go killing again. But as it was somewhere on the border of day 72 and 73, as I was just out hunting for 2 days, a pufferfish killed my dolphin, and I have only 2 rockets in my inventory, so that's not enough to fly home. I hunted whatever drowned were between me and the closest coastline, ending up at the acacia village that I had tamed some cats at a little bit earlier. I also picked up mining fatigue from an ocean monument along the way, which was super unfortunate, but once that cleared, I made a quick acacia boat, and then I figured I should bring this cat home as well and have more than than just one of my types of cats with me at the village. This didn't help with the advancements. This only helped with telling a good story. What helped with the advancements was hunting for ender pearls and gunpowder throughout the rest of the night of 73. Day 74, I'm doing a little bit of inventory management, taking stock of where I'm at and how far I still have to go. We're about to hit the 3/4 mark as far as days, and I'm still lagging a little bit behind as far as where I want to be as far as advancements. This one is going to come down to the wire, but I figure it's time to knock out 3 really big ones all at once. I grabbed the wither skulls and soul sand, a few blocks of iron, and a pumpkin that I had found along the way, doing my best to prevent any villages from using drugs. Finally finding a windswept gravelly hills and a windswept forest biome, bringing my adventuring time up to 46 of the 52 biomes remaining. From there, I grabbed a few hay bales and was able to breed a few llamas that I had seen on one of the mountains, and a few wolves. That was the next one over for 2x2. And I would betray these wolves in a horrific way in just a little bit. But on the morning of day 75, it's time to do some summoning, and it's time for a battle. I popped down the skulls for Withering Heights and knew I needed some backup, so I hired some help as well, partially so I could get a wither rose, and that's where I forgot that the wolves were still gonna try to fight with me. But I didn't have time to worry about that anymore. The wither was spawning, and this was going to be a tense one. I normally do that with a lot more potion prep. Oh, goodness. Doesn't seem like a fair trade, but at the same time, I can't complain. Pretty nice. Yeah, I totally missed something. I have no idea what I have not yet killed. While I was on the flight home, I did a little bit of just mental inventory, trying to figure out what it was that had prevented me from getting monsters hunted. And as I was flying just a few degrees off of the path that I used to get here, I made a huge step forward, finding both a mushroom island and a few drowned that were holding nautilus shells. I had a little bit of wheat in my inventory, so I was able to breed the mushrooms together for 2x2, and following a treasure chest, I was able to get a little bit more resources from there. Day 76, I'm continuing flying around, finding some of the colder biomes as well, which I had still needed to pin down. I'm raiding villages for anything that I could find useful, breeding a few rabbits together for 2x2, thank goodness they're not actually murder bunnies. Finally finding my way towards a deep frozen ocean, which was a huge thing that I was worried about finding. The next village I went to, I threw down elytra just to try to spend the night getting a possibly good advancement, and immediately rolled Silk Touch, which is something that I needed. I need to be able to get a few blocks specifically that would break in any other circumstance. I'm pretty done with phantoms though, so I slept here, and the next day was immediately going at it with another villager just trying specifically to get Riptide. And I only got Riptide 1, which I bought 4 books to be able to combine into a Riptide 3. It'll be expensive, but it could be worth it. But as I sailed out of the village, I saw it, the potential end to my search. I think this might be it. So if we go this one, Badlands. Are there trees somewhere around here? Oh, come on, I just need trees. Trees! Is this it? Yes! That is such a relief. I can stop farming for rockets constantly now. Now I can just go on the portal network. Oh, that is such a relief. With adventuring time complete, one of the grindiest advancements that there is of this whole project, that put wind back in my sails. The other thing I'm going to need is a full-powered beacon. So I figure I can do that and take advantage of the gold spawn rates here in the mesa biomes, being able to pick up a ton more gold. And since it's fortunable, now in the overworld, it's double or triple the return. I mined for all of day 77 and a good portion of day 78, getting several stacks of raw gold into my inventory and then just beelining it back towards where home was. I really didn't need to head out and search the whole world anymore, but I did have one last thing I needed to find, and thankfully I flew over it while I was on my way back, finding a swamp with a witch hut inside, and inside was the last potential cat. I did a little bit of sword fishing to get the requisite offering to the beast that thinks itself a god, killed its previous owner, and then assumed direct control. That's how adoption works, right? This is the last major traveling task. Now we can just focus at home. Oh, that's awesome. Well, enjoy the fish. And I'm going to fly away now. I don't think you'll be able to keep up with me. You got this covered, friends. With 2 epic level advancements complete, I spent the rest of day 78 just flying back towards home on as close to a straight beeline that I could, being so exhausted both in and out of game, landing straight on the bed and calling it a night there. Day 79, I enchanted the diamond pickaxes to upgrade and repair, ending up with a Fortune Unbreaking 3-1, which is just amazing, and we're absolutely keeping that. Smelting up and crafting all of the gold and putting it into this chest, I have most of a beacon. I'll have more by the time everything is done. But I went to go check on my mending villager to get books, and I could not find them, which baffled me because they've been locked in a room. Oh, Fred. Oh, Fred, no, don't jump. Wait, no. How did this happen? Okay, hold on. Oh, no. This is really, oh no, okay, would this work? Oh, yes. Yes, come on. Nope. Oh, no, okay, so. Back down you go. There is no escaping this church. You live here for forever. While my mending villager is recovering from whatever trauma they just went through, I did have to go and cure the Fletcher again. So I'd be able to actually do some resource generation, harvesting all of the bamboo, which I'd be able to convert into sticks the following morning to turn that into emeralds, because that's how capitalism works. I went off to the Nether to breed my Strider, who had helped me with the Feels Like Home advancement, with another one who was right close by, finally completing 2x2. Yes! Another major advancement down. Okay, so at this point, I have 2 hard things I need to do. I need to convince a Ghast to come to the overworld with me, which has proven difficult, and I need to do the most difficult advancement in the entire game. I also need like 6 more pieces of ancient debris, and or 2 netherite ingots for my hoe and a lodestone respectively. But I had a thought about that. Just maybe. Bastions. Bastions have netherite. So we're gonna try that quick. So yeah, it's day 80, and I figure if we raid a couple bastions, maybe we'd be able to pick up some ancient debris or netherite scrap, or if we're lucky, a full ingot, which could short circuit the remaining mining that we have to do. So I flew into the back of the bastions, because we also need gold blocks to be able to get a full power beacon, so harvesting these that are just sitting here out in the open, that's a definite win as well. I'm being very careful, making sure that there's no access roads to me whenever I'm breaking these blocks, and spending some time using a bow and a sword to just kill any brutes who are here. We are not 313ing it right now. First chest I opened did have a piece of netherite scrap in it. It also had an iron block, which would be pivotal in completing the beacon later. The next had a diamond pickaxe, but I already had a better one in my inventory, so I thought, let's go down to the towers side of this one to get all of the gold that's sitting down there to help again with getting this beacon completed. I'm working in a 2x1 tunnel, just trying to very carefully make it so that nothing can get to me, mining up all the gold and shoving it into my pockets. I grabbed some spectral arrows, which I would definitely need, and there were 3 diamond chest plates here, so I only took 1. I'm not being overly greedy, just the appropriate amount of greedy. Heading out of the Bastion, I flew through a small tunnel in the netherrack, and my goodness, there's a Ghast in potentially the perfect location. It can't escape, it can't fly away. All I have to do right now is trap it in a box to make this work. So I built up some quick walls just to protect myself from the Ghast fireballs, fishing rodding the Ghast into a small confined space and building a box around it, which means it can't escape anymore, and I have the perfect candidate for Uneasy Alliance. I quickly built up a nether portal, lit it, and thought, yes, and tried to pull them in, and they didn't go through. And then I realized this is the exact same thing as the hoglins. What do I do here? It's in! Okay, let me try this. Maybe that will get pulled through too. Oh, don't you dare. Please, please do not despawn. Oh goodness, this is awful. Okay. Oh! I also realized that the netherrack wall directly behind the portal was a little bit too thick, so I dug out a little bit more space, pulled the gas through, and went to the overworld to try to kill it on that side. But when I escaped from the portal, nothing was there. I checked by reloading the chunks, trying to see if I could see it or hear it, and then I noticed the gunpowder in my inventory. No, after all of that, no. Don't do me like this, game. Honestly, it's starting to feel like this might be the advancement that costs me everything. Either this or how did we get here are potentially going to be the ones that prevent me from fully completing this challenge. And it's really starting to make me nervous because I'm running out of time to do everything that I still need to do. I did eventually fly off to another soul sand valley, building a very large portal on the nether side, heading through and breaking that, digging my way up to the surface, which was an ocean, setting up an exact coordinates and a large portal on this side as well. There would be nothing for the Ghast to potentially suffocate on. If they were coming through, they were going to be able to be murdered by me directly. I should have been prepared for what was coming next. So it's worth noting that I'm only going into this with 2 fishing rods, which I would find out later was woefully underprepared. I did have some initial luck with capturing a few Ghasts and getting them close, but it was always close, never actually making it through. After my second fishing rod broke, I went back to the overworld because I need to get resources here, finding a pillager tower with the string and sticks, which would be definitely useful, but killing a few extra spiders just to make sure that overkill is underrated. We are completing this thing come hell or high water. Heading back into the nether, I worked on that for day 81, for day 82. And just as we crossed over to the morning of day 83, I finally had one Ghast who was so kind to not only allow me to fishing rod them down to where the portal is, they lit it on themselves. Please, please, please. Yes! Oh, thank goodness. I am done with this advancement. I never need these again. Oh my god, that did so much damage to all my gear. Alright, let's get home. With that advancement out of the way, I'm once again re-energized and figuring we can actually do this thing. Heading back to the home portal, getting all of the gold that had been smelted and crafting that down into blocks for the beacon, and enchanting another crossbow with piercing 4 so we can complete a hidden advancement. I also finally crafted the beacon after beating the wither almost a full 10 days ago, and crafted the eyes and then the end crystals so we'd be able to respawn the dragon to be able to kill that again as well. I re-enchanted and re-upped on all of my armor, getting at least some basic protection enchants onto it, and started with the brewing process. I'm going to need 1 of every potion for how did we get here, and I want to make sure that they're going to last as long as possible to try to make that window as easy to do as I can. And you see this inventory? You see this little gap in the inventory up here at the top? Well, that's where my leaping potion would go if I had one. But I'm out of food, so I spent a little bit of time right at the start of the day doing like any proper piglin would, harvesting potatoes, cooking them all up to have them potentially be my fuel source for the remainder of this challenge. But as I was working on all of that, after a little while, I saw a couple trader llamas just wandering around and a few leads on the ground, which meant there was a wandering trader somewhere around here. I'd eventually find the particles, seeing them, and they're selling nautilus shells. I'm going to be honest, in the moment until I saw the nautilus shells in their inventory, I had forgotten about the conduit, even though it was sitting right there in the chest right in front of me. So I immediately grabbed all of the emeralds that I had, traded a whole bunch more sticks for more nautilus shells, and purchased the 3 that I needed. Without that random spawn, I might have failed this entire challenge. But then what was also convenient was now that there was a llama relatively close by, which could help with our ballistic. Spent a little bit of time in the night and then grabbing sheep first thing in the morning on day 85, getting them all into a nice cozy little hole with a chicken and a cow as well, meaning that I had 5 different mobs in a 1x1 space. While this is all going on, I'm converting all of the other potions that I had brewed into splash potions, so I'd be able to apply them extremely quickly. I'm just preparing for the end game now. I also combined the Riptide books into a Riptide 3 that I don't remember if I ever actually put onto a trident, and then walked over towards the hole and shot my shot, but not everything died at once. That was weird. So I had to reset, doing another round of trading sticks for emeralds just to pass the time while I was collecting passive mobs to go into the hole. And I'm gonna catch some flack for this one. I used both a frog and a cat. I really didn't have a lot of options, y'all. I also made sure to poison all of the mobs so they'd be at absolute minimum health. I'm not gonna lie, I feel a little bit guilty about this one, but it's gotta be done. Oh, I'm gonna catch some heat in the comments for that, aren't I? Oh no! With the secret advancement down and knowing what we have to do to be able to get towards our next one, I headed back over to the snowy area, having to hunt some rabbits for a rabbit's foot for a potion of leaping. Okay, I'm sorry, bunnies. This is gonna suck for you more than this is gonna suck for me. I did not feel good about any of these murders, all like 10 of these murders, but thankfully one finally did the drop. Oh, thank God. Mojang, what is wrong with you? Heading home, I brewed up the last potion I would need for How Did We Get Here and packed another shulker with all of the essential tools and materials for that specific machine. And with all of that in storage, I saw the end crystals and was reminded that I still had a dragon that I needed to resurrect and then kill again. But let's complete these dimensions in order. So I went back to the Nether, and this had to be the final Netherite mining session. If I didn't get everything right now, I'm not going to have time to complete the remainder of my advancements. It's getting tense. Thankfully, I had 3 extremely quickly, a 4th a few beds after that, and with the scrap that I had collected from my Bastion raiding strategy just a little bit earlier, I only needed 5 pieces. Once those were all safely in my pockets, I went back to the overworld, enchanting and repairing my bow, so we'd be able to do a dragon fight that much faster, and getting some serious dedication to the game. A little bit after that, I made up a lodestone and clicked that for country loads take me home. Wait, that one's not purple? That one should be purple. Speaking of purple, I also now realized what the mob that I had not yet killed was for monsters hunted. And it was an endermite. So before I was gonna go respawn the dragon, I made myself a little enderman killing chamber, accidentally making it 1 block too skinny and getting to half health from enderman punches, before getting a stack and a half worth of pearls and then just throwing them at the ground consistently, spending all of them, killing 1 more enderman, getting a few more pearls, and getting an endermite on the first shot. There we go. Finally got that one done. With most of our grindiest advancements out of the way on day 88, it was time to bring the dragon back to life and then remind her who killed her in the first place. I summoned the dragon for the end again, making sure to take a look at it through a spyglass for is it a plane? And while I'm destroying crystals, the first fireball down to me was where I grabbed a bunch of breath for You Need a Mint. That's 3 advancements in about 30 seconds, not bad. Taking on the dragon with an elytra is an entirely separate game from taking it on when you're confined to the ground. Being able to eliminate almost all of the crystals in one big strafing run, that definitely makes this fight a lot easier, and soon the dragon fell again. And with that, the end advancements were fully complete. I crafted up a couple more fishing rods, and I made a few splash regen potions because there was one last thing I needed to do in the end actually. and that was get a shulker out of it. While I was doing my final prep and potions were brewing, I did also accidentally get a record. That was something that I was trying to do back on like day 6. It felt good to have it finally happen though. Day 89, I was reminded that there was yet another villager that would have sold me nautilus shells if only I had remembered to find them here near the end. Heading through the portal, I used a fishing rod and pistons to get the shulker up the staircase and over towards the end portal. This was an insanely tedious part of the process, and the 2 times that it knocked itself out of the boat where I had to re-trap it inside of a boat, that was potentially the worst thing. I used the crossbow to break the boat that it was in, setting it off to the overworld, and realized that somehow I had broken my boots along the way. Day 90, we're in the end game. I have a shulker in the overworld, and after killing the freeloader, I was able to get them in a boat and start sailing away. Something with the shaders was glitching here, but thankfully it was only visual. It's in there, because it's still shooting. But it's also not in there. Once the shulker was relatively nearby, I already had the pistons in my inventory, ready to set up to get the ladder to be able to get them up to the surface, and regen potions in my back pocket to make sure that they weren't gonna kill themselves somehow. While doing a little bit of mining, they did knock themselves out of the boat just one more time. No, where'd you go? But thankfully they were easy enough to find after digging out a few blocks inside of one of those houses right there that they had teleported into. With that, I got them into the Nether and quickly got them back into a boat, prepping myself for a very long and tedious journey on the Nether route. And we're not kidding, it's day 91 and a good majority of this whole day was literally just transporting this angry little box from one place to another place. The only thing I really needed to figure out was how to get it up a few levels, and I did need to fishing rod it up at some point, and then I noticed that my sword had 1 durability on it, so at least I caught one of these pieces of armor or weapons before they actually broke. Fishing the shulker worked like an absolute charm, getting them through the portal and back into a boat on the other side, just storing them off in the corner. Now, a smart person would have put them in a box or something, but I am not a smart man, and I will pay for that mistake in just a little bit. I purchased a name tag from my librarian villager, grabbing some speed and a slow fall potion that I could apply to one very specific porpoisey friend, as I got them on a lead and pulled them up onto the surface. I now had exactly 3 minutes to transport them over the roof of the Nether and get them in contact with water again, hence the speed potions on my part, and the slow falling potions on their part so they didn't die when going kersplat off of a lead. Come on. Stay alive. Just imagine if this dolphin would die to gravity. How anticlimactic would that be? Anyway. No. Oh! This shulker. Well, after finally deciding to do the smart thing and put the shulker in a box, I wasn't paying attention and I did the stupid thing. Oh my god. What even is going on right now? But I did eventually get that shulker closed off into a box. I'd have to move them later when doing final prep and building the machine, but at least it was safe now. I grabbed a little bit of glass, turned all of the wheat that I had remaining into bread to be able to get more food. Those potatoes didn't last nearly as long as I had hoped, and brewed up a second set of potions and a name tag for my dolphin friend. From there, I made sure to give them a drink on the surface in the village, using the pond that I had initially made for the frogs, before getting them through the portal, speeding my way across in the overworld, and getting them safely into the water pond on this side. From there, I built up a max tier beacon using every single block of gold, iron, and diamond that I had. That one from the Bastion being the last one that went underneath the beacon itself. With that, I completed the Bring Home the Beacon and Beaconator advancements, which is 2 more for my total. And this is also a key part of how do we get here. One of the only ways to get haste and regeneration really easily. From there, I made a little water pool with a ring of dark prismarine around that we could power a conduit inside and dirt on the ground for us to be able to plant a wither rose onto. Setting up the conduit, there's no advancement for that, which feels a little discriminatory. Mojang, water beacons deserve advancements too. But I also backed up the shulker inside of a different area, a little bit closer to the water, with TNT blocking the door. Now this is critical. TNT is insta-mine, and even if you have Mining Fatigue 3, which is going to be one of the potion effects we come into this room with, so prepping that is essential. The last thing I did was use a golden axe to silk touch a sensor, which I thought I would need, and set up a little head hitting area for me to be able to sprint to make sure that I was hungry enough to actually take this advancement on. But once I got back to my village, I made a new sword using it to repair my primary sword from 1 durability to full. How wonderful. I then used a few of the mushrooms on the nether roof along with an azure bluet to get a suspicious stew that would give me the blindness effect, which was the last potion effect I needed. Crafting up all the bread, it's go time. Okay. I think, yeah, we'll get this when we get it. I think, here we go. With one last repair of my bow, it was time to take a small break from this world. Here's where I needed to practice. This advancement was all about precise timing and execution. Everything needed to be done in a very specific order, and I only had 1 god apple to my name, and there wouldn't be enough time to search for another if I happened to mess this up. So I rebuilt this same machine in a separate creative world and then just tested this, saw if I could do it. It did require some small modifications just for timing, being able to have the wither rose down in a corner and making sure that I was doing invisibility last, as for some reason it was really inconsistent in getting Dolphin's Grace for me. You'll see that when I actually get it on the advancement. I practiced for maybe 2 days, just running this how did we get here advancement 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row. Once I had it to the point where I felt pretty consistent with it, I felt that I was prepared, then it was time to log into the world and do it for real. And I only had 1 attempt. I remembered to start my recording after I had already landed on the Pillager Tower, getting one of the last hidden advancements, Birthday Song, by making an ally drop a cake for me at my location. Oh, I'm so glad I noticed that. Also, my helmet just broke. So we're gonna be doing this down, seriously down on some armor, which is not great. Late in the night, I saw a pillager with an ominous banner above their heads, and I gotta say, with the Game of Thrones, the Game of Thrones banner mod pack, it looks pretty adorable. So I think I'm gonna keep that for forever now. Thanks, Shadow. With a bad omen on me, the next step was to protect a village from the raid that I was about to cause. So I went to the first village that I had completed a raid at, knowing that it was a relatively safe and stable location to do so. And without armor, these mobs hurt. I'm able to stay on top of buildings and just bow down the rank and file mobs. They're not a problem. Even Ravagers can't really get to me. The problem we have is the ones that can. I was able to take down an evoker, which would get me a new totem of undying, something that I had been missing for a very long time, picking up a second just a few minutes later, and then a Vex chunked me for half of my health in a single hit. The fight went through all the way of day 94 and into the night. And with the damage I was taking, I can't believe I didn't pop a totem here, but I popped a totem by tripping in the deep dark. As it was late in the night, I found the final raider, a witch, killed them, and got the hero of the village advancement. From there, I flew back over towards the Pillager Tower, knowing that I would once again need to speak to a manager to pick up Bad Omen again, so I would have both of those. And they were on the longest clock, so I still didn't need to rush, but I definitely needed to move with purpose. After picking that up, I'm flying as fast as I can to one of the ocean monuments and then trying to get to my portal so I can get to the place where I have my machine set up. But once I picked up mining fatigue, I noticed that Bad Omen was gone. Wait, where did Bad Omen go? Where did Bad Omen go? You can actually see it right here, which I stopped to review the footage. I flew just a little bit too close to one of these villages along the way, so now there was a random raid just occurring somewhere, and Bad Omen had been consumed. So I needed to head back to the tower again, with mining fatigue, by the way. So when I put down a crafting table to make rockets, I'm never getting that again. Luckily, a pillager captain spawned on the second wave, and I was able to very quickly get them down, and this time being much more careful about where I was flying, getting to the ocean monument to be able to pick up mining fatigue in just a few seconds. As I flew and started to see the village in the distance, I realized I would have the exact same problem here. My portal was practically in the middle of the village, and I hadn't set up a contingency. The portal that was further away would get me into the nether body, and there's no way I'd be able to pearl up and through to the nether roof in time. Then I remembered the pink sheep that I had found dozens of days ago. There was a portal waiting there, a portal that linked to the nether roof, and it wasn't super far away. So I made a beeline through those coordinates, flying through the night into day 96, making it through the portal and onto the nether roof. At this point in time, I have maybe 2 minutes on my mining fatigue. I don't think I opened my inventory here at all, and I'm starting to panic. This is do or die, the one attempt that I have at doing this. When I made my way into the deep dark with the machine prepped and ready, my modifications in place, there also happened to be a skeleton with the bow and arrow just chilling inside the water pool, because of course. I dumped everything non-essential from my inventory, throwing it into any shulkers that I could find, grabbing all of the potions, and trying to organize my inventory in a way that I could do this calmly. I'm not gonna lie, I paused the game here and just sat and caught my breath for a few minutes. I edited all of that out. And then finally, it was execution time. And we're gonna let it play out unedited. 2, 3, 4, 5. I did it! All of that practicing. Oh my god. I really should have hacked something. Because, yeah, my inventory's a mess. Once all of the poison and all of the other horrible potion effects had subsided, I spent a little bit of time breaking down the beacon and the conduit so I could take them back home with me. The shulker? Well, it can stay here. I legitimately never want to see it again. Oh no, I did that without shaders on. What? Well, you know what? I'm just glad I got it at all. Look at that. Every advancement completed. Some of them the first time I've ever done it. I hope you all enjoyed the video. This is just a fun project to end out the year, and a little different from my interconnected multiverse series of 100 days. Or was it? There might have been some clues hidden in here. You never know where you need to look. Thank you so much to my patrons whose names are on screen. If you want to join them, hit up patreon.com/Legundo. A bunch of amazing new projects coming early 2023. Happy holidays, everybody. Have a wonderful new year, and I'll see you all in a couple weeks. Bye.